partner and I talking about some of the funny and unique things that can happen at horse shows. Hope you enjoy it. Well, here we are again today, and we were thinking about having some fun conversations about interesting things. So, what did you have on your mind, Dana? I know that you had in mind some stories.
I did because I just thought you had some really great stories of judging and funny things that have happened. So I just wanted you to tell everyone about the snake stories because they're
Oh,
terrifying,
oh no! Yes,
but kind
these
of
are my
funny.
my two creepiest stories about judging. Well, people that really know me know that horses can be rearing 1,200-pound horses can be going crazy, and I'm just like really calm, really good in an emergency. They can be bleeding all over the place, and I'm really good, no problem. But if my folks hear me screaming bloody murder, like it's an axe murderer, if they hear that on my farm, they know I've seen a snake. It doesn't matter. It can be this long or huge, but it's just this primeval thing about it. I'm just like terrified, terrified.
I think
And my
you're in good
husband,
company. I think a lot of people are terrified.
just like, it's not sane. I get that. And my thing is, kill it, kill it. My husband's like, oh, it's good for the environment. Well, I'm like, no, like, it's a serpent. Anyway, I have two stories. The first one, I really looked stupid. It's the stupidest story. I was in Connecticut and I was judging maybe June-ish, it was early in the season and there was grass and everything. It was kind of spring-like. It wasn't super hot yet, but I was in this little gazebo. And sometimes shows, they put you in horse trailers and this and that, but there was this really old gazebo. It was kind of moldy and it had, lattice work around the bottom and it was they're all kind of open, and they're kind of round like, and there's kind of this opening in the front, which I was supposed to kind of judge out through this opening. And I'm sitting there, and this thing's old enough that the floorboards creak, and there's holes between the floorboards and stuff because this is really lattice like work. And it was about 10 o'clock in the morning, and I maybe got through my first class, and I'm maybe up to first level ish, and I look down and up through the floor is coming a snake. And it's coming right like up, like right up to the floor. And I out of that
Terrifying.
box screaming bloody murder. You could have heard me all over the showgrounds. It was awful. And I was at X before I stopped myself and went, what am I doing? And there was a woman coming in on a Frisian, and that horse just went, oh, what is she
Oh
doing?
my gosh. I guess I had no idea when you told the story the first time that actually there was a horse getting ready to come into the ring.
He was probably at G, and I'm running down the center line. Stop, stop, there's a snake in the box.
Oh my gosh. So wait, what did your steward do? Did your steward stay in the box or
Of
were they
course,
out with
you
you?
never, the stewards are never anywhere near the
Oh
ring.
no, I mean describe, I guess.
Describe. Oh, she was funny. She was like, what's going on? And she looks down, she sees a snake, and she just kind of calmly exits the box. And I'm
Oh my
sure she thought I was insane. I'm sure she thought I was insane. I didn't know her. And I really didn't know the show people very well. And I'm just flipping out, like, I'm not getting in that box. Wait just a minute. I'm really sorry. I go over to this woman. I was shaking so badly. I couldn't barely talk, Dana. It was awful. I was just shaking like, and the thing is I'm sure it was a garden snake, but the thing, it was as big as my arm. It was
gosh.
really thick and it was long. And I know it was just a garden snake, but the thing was huge. And the holes on the floor were like that wide. The slatting between, so it was possible. And they decide, like, finally the show manager comes and everything. I will not get back in the box. I inch up there and I'm like, I'm not getting in that box till you tell me that thing isn't in there. And but of course, by the time any guy gets there to do anything, walking slowly, the thing's gone. Of course, with me screaming for the bloody murder. And so they assure me, of course, I go to the restroom because I need to get over the shakes, get a cup of
Mhm.
coffee, see if I can calm down. And I take my
Yeah.
break then and we resume. And they tell me that they've removed it. Oh, sure. Sure, they put it in a gunny sack and took it away, right? Oh, yeah, what a lie. I sat there all the rest of the day like, it must I'm sorry. I got to apologize to every one of those competitors. It's gotta be the worst thing I ever did. I don't know if I can even think straight, you
Oh
know?
yeah.
It was awful. I was just terrified the whole time. And you know what's really funny is I didn't go back there for about 5 years. They hire me again. And I go out in the kitchen and I tell my husband, Mark, oh my God, it's the place with the snake. I have to think about if I'm taking it. And you know, that freaking box was still there. And on the first day, I had to sit down. At least the floorboards had been repaired. But it looked just the same. And I was having post traumatic stress syndrome.
Oh gosh.
So, my other snake story, which is a little different, I was out in Colorado. It was one of the first times I'd ever been there before, and I wasn't really familiar with being in, kind of high altitude places or anything like that. And I mean, in New England, if you do have a snake, I mean, snakes in New England are harmless. They're not,
Mhm.
they may be big and they're scary or whatever, but they don't bite and they're not rattlesnakes and stuff like that. They slither off usually. If they see you coming, they usually leave. So I'm in an outside dressage ring the first morning, sand. And it's hot and it's dry in Colorado, and it's kind of high deserty like in some places. It's very, I don't know, it's different than New England, and I'm kind of enjoying myself looking around at the mountain and everything. Scenery is beautiful. And this is really good, like going up, you can see up our ring sides here that I was in working some tests like level 1 where the horses lengthen up the long side. So they're lengthening up the long side MF for me. And they start this test where everybody has to do it on the same side. And the first horse shies, and he shies when he gets to maybe like B, somewhere between B and P,
Mhm.
completely leaves the long side and he's jumping in the middle. And then the rider gets him all gathered up and goes around the corner. And every time she sort of got over to that area, that horse was pretty tense and didn't think too much about it, just marked him down there. Everything else was good. This started going on like every horse. Like they go up that long side and they shy. Some of them
Mhm.
worse than others. Some just tense, some jumping. But I had horse after horse after horse jump.
Mhm.
Well, luckily it's about 10 o'clock in the morning and I'm due for a bathroom break. So I'm about halfway through the class of level 1 and I go to the restroom. So I decide that I'll walk up the center line of my ring and to exit because the bathroom was kind of straight ahead there. And I walk up and I'm kind of looking around and I kind of walked over towards like BP. I mean, I didn't get right on the rail, but I got over there, kind of looked around because I thought, well, I don't know, maybe there's a shiny object or I don't know why, footing's bad or I don't know. I didn't see anything. So I went to the restroom. I come back and I start down the center line. I probably never should have walked in my ring, but I usually like to check the footing as a judge. So I walk up and down the center line to check the footing, see what
Mhm.
it's like for the horses. And I look over. Oh my God, a rattlesnake
Oh my gosh.
slithered into the ring. So now it's like near between P and L. And I'm
Oh,
like, and the thing's going in, and this is the first time I've seen one live, and you see the rattle and you hear it, and you're going, only ever
yeah.
seen this on television.
Oh my gosh.
I was screaming back to my box. At this show, I have a radio. So now I'm in the box looking around like no snakes here, right? And calling for help. And I guess the thing was is that snake had been outside of the ring, but in the sand somewhere along there all morning.
Uh-huh.
And it had the horses, they would be lengthening along and then I don't know, sense it, smell it, see it, hear it. I
Mhm.
don't know. Same thing, the TD thought I was crazy when I called on the radio. She goes, "What? You have a snake problem?" I'm like, "I have a snake in the ring." "What? Would you repeat that again? Ring 1. What was that again?"
Oh my gosh.
And they sent some guy out. And I don't know. I went to the restroom. I was like, I can't watch this. I can't see this. That night, I didn't sleep very well. I had nightmares. So, I mean, I do feel bad too for a lot of judges' boxes are kind of, old woodeny places that get brushed out a couple of times a year when the judges come to do a show. And So that means that hornets and stuff are apt to be around those boxes and in those boxes. We're apt to have bees. And people really do have allergies, bad, severe. They have EpiPens and things with them, judges. And I have seen some of my colleagues just terrified because they can be incredibly ill. They may have to go to the hospital, and there are bees around their area where they're trying to judge. And I can't even imagine that. I mean, it's just stupid stuff. I'm just afraid of a snake, but I'm not in that situation.
Mhm.
And I can't tell you, like, I don't know, four or five times last year while I was at live shows, out of all of them, there were bees in my box or around my box or around me or around my coffee cup. It's really common. And for judges that have that problem, I just can't even imagine trying to work in that situation. And
Yeah,
it
that's
makes me kind of
terrifying.
annoyed that the organizers don't go around and police the boxes better
Hmm.
because they're not taking good safety of the
Hmm.
people that they've got in there, But you must have some interesting horse stories because stuff happens at horse shows.
It does happen. I mean, I haven't been horse showing for too long with the Western dressage, so I don't have too many stories, but I will say, and of course, this would have to be typical. My very first horse show I went to, I go into the ring, right? And I'm already terrified. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never, this is the first time I'm doing this. I'm on a younger horse and we're going down, and I see that, okay, I'm going into the corner, and there it goes. The white plastic bag that is the monster to every single horse is blowing, and I'm just fixated on it because it just happens to be blowing straight towards us. And I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Like, if this comes into the ring, that's it. I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm just looking at it. So luckily, it gets caught up in some brush. And of course, my horse looks at it. So I think we got some marks, like slightly distracted,
Yes.
something like that. But then we finished. But that terrifying moment of that white plastic bag is coming in the ring, and it is going to terrify my horse.
And it happens to everybody. If your horse has a thing about a baby buggy, a baby carriage, for sure at the horse show, somebody comes that's not even a horse person that just goes, oh, some pretty horses. Let's stop with the baby and let them look at them. And they come pushing the baby carriage. It's like, uh, what did my husband used to call it? It was just a joke in our family, but it was like, oh, you have your idiot magnet on today. Like, whatever your nemesis was, that is what would be your problem, and you would be drawing it to you.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, subscribe, like, and share. Also check out IdaNorrisDressage.com and Ida Norris Western Dressage on Facebook.